Hi everyone, my name is Prue. I'm a Client Success Manager here at Formatize. Welcome to today's Lunch and Learn webinar. So today we will be talking about web forms and its capabilities. Feel free to use the Q&A to ask any questions that you have. I'll try and get through them within the session. If I don't, I will come back to you directly with a response to those. So let's get started. Okay, so web forms are a little bit different to normal forms, but when it comes to functionality and the way that they're built, they are very similar. So there's lots of different ways that you can use a web form, and we'll go through all of these in more detail throughout today's session, but you can email your customers a link to a blank web form. So this may be something like a survey or a questionnaire or a testimonial where you're wanting somebody to fill in information and send it back to you. You can also save a form, so something where you've partially completed a form and then you want the rest of it to be completed by the customer. So that may be an agreement, a contract, or a proposal, for example. So that can be any or multiple fields within the form that you're getting that client to complete. You can also use it through a QR code. So the web form will generate a URL. So you can have somebody scan that QR code to be able to complete the web form on their device. So that might be site safety check-ins, safety checks, equipment requisitions. So we have them around our office for lots of different things, but one being in the kitchen where people can indicate that something needs to be ordered. So the person who is looking after the ordering gets all of those notifications so they know exactly what they need to order. You can also embed a web form onto your website. So that may be things like contact us, order forms, job applications. So what you have happen with those actions is really where the power of Formatize comes into play. And they can be lots of different things. So whether or not it's automation to trigger, different people within your business to action that particular web form that's been completed. It may be an SMS to your sales team when a new web lead is received. So still going through the lead pipeline for the rest of that form through its actions. You can email a manager, for example, for a job application that may have been created through your website using a form, creating a task when a safety check indicates that there's an issue, and automated communication for that web form to be sent to your customer. So using through job type templates is another common way to be able to use web forms day to day. Obviously, there are lots of different things that you can do, and we'll go through some different scenarios today so that you can see exactly how you can make it work within your business. So I'm just going to jump into the portal now to go through that. Okay, so in the portal, as I said, the forms functionality from a build perspective is the same, whether you're building a normal form or a web form. So it is an opt-in for our web form functionality. So if we have a look at our templates in this account, okay, you'll see here that the type will indicate that the form is a web form, so nice and easy to see from your form templates. In your details page, you'll see that you're able to embed the form to be a web form. So this will also give you the URL that you can use as a standalone form. So you can just copy this URL to be able to use it straight away, or you can use it into your website using an iframe. Then you also have the redirect on submit. So you may have different landing pages for the different types of forms that you're using. So, it might be customer satisfaction or a survey form that you're getting your client to complete. And your landing page may be your website where you've got other testimonials where people can read more about your business. Totally up to you. So as I said, the same way to build and edit the form. So if we go into the form builder and just highlight a couple of different things when it comes to building a web form. Functionality, if you're not aware, labeling allows you to give that different, text size and color. So to be able to personalize your form a little bit more will make things stand out for the person who's completing the form. You'll see on any of the fields that you can have the locked for web form. So this means that once the form becomes a web form, that form field can't be changed. So quite common on something like an agreement where you're pre-populating the price, and we'll go through this when we're doing a job, but any field that you don't want the customer to be able to change, you simply lock that for that web form only, so you can make sure that it's not adjusted by the person who's completing it. Another thing to remember when you're using a web form is that the CRM element is only available for you if you were to pre-fill the form. So from a privacy perspective, you don't want your customers to be selecting themselves within the CRM, and that would in turn allow them to look at all of the customers that you have. So in this type of scenario where you want to connect the form back to the actual customer, you would be pre-filling the form, and we'll go through that when we do the agreement in a job, or you would not be using the CRM element in the form when you're sending it out to the customer. You may use, an additional stage in your form that things become visible after the form is submitted, and then going back to connect the CRM to your form. But primarily you wouldn't use that CRM element if it's just a straight form for a third party. You can have form fields create a CRM contact or a lead. So in the scenario where you may have a contact us form within your website, you can have those form fields as an action, create a CRM contact and then a lead as well. So our webinars on advanced form building, we'll go through this in more detail, but definitely that is a function that you can use. So other than that, all of the form fields will work in the same way. Your conditional actionings with your events, so questions that are going to populate additional form fields to be completed, will all work in the same way. Just remembering from an action perspective, if you're looking, and quite often you may be aware of most forms having a email PDF going to the user who completed the form. So remembering when it's a web form, there's no user as such because it is a URL. So you need to ensure that you can even have a hidden field. So you'll see here that we've got a hidden receiving company email field, so that there's something for that action to be able to target. So this information can come from your company details, so you can bring in the user variable of your company email so that it's automatically populated in the form. But me as a person who's completing it, being the third party, I won't see that field, but I'm ensuring that in my build, I'm allowing that PDF to be sent. So that's how you, make sure you think about those elements where you may not want the customer to be able to change something, and obviously not being able to look up the CRM. So if we have a look as if we were going to pre-populate a form for a customer to complete, the same way that you want to start a new form works in the same way. So you'll see that if the form is enabled to be a web form, you'll have the option to be able to select the conversion to a web form when you're filling it in. So you'll see here we've got the save and submit functionality available. Once I click convert to web form, you'll see that I can only save that form. So in this instance, there's nothing for me to pre-populate in the form. It's a survey, so the customer is going to fill everything in. So I can just save this form now. It does have its own unique identifier at this point. So here I can email a link of this through Formatize. I can just copy the link as well. So emailing the link will allow me to connect it to the CRM, so a contact that I already have in my account. I can choose them to receive a copy of it. I can use a template within Formatize as well. So in your company settings, you can create an email or SMS template. So in this case, using a email template to be able to pre-fill the content of the email, so it makes it nice and quick to send, and all of those placeholders are going to populate that information. So once you send that off, they will receive a copy of it. They've got the link to be able to complete the web form, and whatever your form actions have are going to continue with that process. Another useful tool when it comes to web forms and obviously the automation side of things is for a job type to be able to automatically send the web form for you. So we'll go through how that works. So your job type template can trigger communication, being an email or an SMS, also internal tasks and a PDF letter at different stages, as well as different timeframes surrounding a job. So as you can see in this particular job type, I have the web forms of an agreement and also a customer satisfaction survey attached. So any of the web forms that you want to use with the job communication connected to that type of job need to be on the template for you to be able to have that send automatically. So if we have a look at the job status updates, there's multiple updates. You can have still as many as you like. Some people may have the job creation communication with the website together, so it's all as one email, or you may choose to separate it so you can really focus on the fact that the agreement or web form needs to be completed so it's noticeable to the customer. So in this case, we've got a subject line saying that the agreement needs to be signed for their booking, and we're bringing in the job due date. Again, using the placeholders control space still to be able to pick up the web form content as well. So we've been able to bring in job information to personalize this communication. And in this instance, when the job is created, they'll get their email with the agreement form. Okay, the other thing that we're showing in here is your future reminders, where again, we've got an email and this is 2 days after the job is being completed. And we're using the web form, which is the customer satisfaction survey. So you can use the link at any point throughout your communication. It's just important to make sure that this next step when we book the job, that if there's any pre-filled information, that you're doing that when you book the job. So everything else for the job type template works in the same way, and you can add in the link to the communication. So if we jump back into jobs and create a new job. Okay, so we can choose our customer like we would generally. When we choose the job type, you'll then see all of the forms that are connected to this job through that job type. So there's 2 web forms, there's a safety form, and there's also the job report form. In this case, we're just focusing on the web forms. So we can pop back up to the Forms tab. And you can see that you've got the opportunity to be able to email the web forms from this point. In this instance, we're getting the job type template to do that. So we can go into any of the forms. So this also applies to normal job forms or safety forms if you wanted to pre-fill any information. But we can see on the agreement form that we can pre-populate any of the information as needed. In this instance, we want to put in the price, and this is where that will populate into the communication, and that web form is pre-filled, and that agreed price field can't be edited. So obviously that's something that you wouldn't want the customer to be able to change, being that that's your agreed price. Okay, so email communication is going to go from that job, and when the job is completed, or when you're looking to see jobs that are coming out and you need to make sure that the web form has been completed, you'll be able to have a look and see. I think this is the one that we just, okay, so in our agreement, once the customer starts that web form, you'll be able to see that it will turn orange, and then it will also turn green once it's been completed. Same with the customer satisfaction survey. We triggered that to be sent after the job has been completed. So once that triggers through the job process, that will also populate as well. So lots of different things and different ways to be able to use web forms. They still appear in your submitted forms tabs in the same way that all of the other forms would appear. Again, using your edit functionality to be able to create custom tabs, to be able to see content from within that survey, for example, at a glance, or any of the form tabs that you have. Again, that video icon on the right-hand side will show you more about how to create those custom submitted forms tabs. The forms are the same as normal forms work when you're filling them out in the app. You can use our form reporting to be able to pull that data, so all of the form fields, as well as all of the metadata in CSV format. So you can have that automatically email to multiple parties on a regular basis. So it may be, every Friday or at the end of every month that you want to get all of that data in one go. So really easy to be able to see what's happening with that web forms that have been sent out, and obviously have that available to you. We can also, as I said earlier, create the actions. So within the form actions, you can have a lead create. You can also trigger tasks. So depending on that workflow process that you have surrounding the forms that you're completing, you can choose how you want to manage that next steps in the process. So as I mentioned earlier in the sessions, our web form functionality is an add-on. So standard web forms is $19.99 per month for the company, and our enterprise web forms is $250 for the enterprise solution monthly for the company. I can take any questions that anyone has. There have been a couple which I've kind of covered off as I've been explaining different functionality. So I'll pop up a few QR codes for you to be able to activate web forms on your account, or if you aren't with Formatize already and you want to get started, that you can do that. So simply use the QR code to be able to book in a demo if you're not a Formatise customer and you'd like to know more about the different things that we're able to do. If you wanted to activate web forms on your account, you can do that as well. If you're ready just to get started, you can create a free trial through the Formatise website. I'll keep that up for a little while. And if you have any further questions, you can pop them in. Thanks so much for joining.